I'm Paul Arthur. This is Forum Daily West. Here are some of the top stories we've been following. The rumor mill in Ottawa is suggesting Canada and the U.S. might be inching closer to an economic and security deal. After being accused of not doing enough, Saskatchewan Premier Scott Moe says wildfire evacuees will get the extra help they need. It's National Blood Donor Week across the country. We'll look at the need and the people who are helping save lives. Thanks for joining us. Talk of an economic and security deal between the U.S. and Canada have intensified in recent weeks, and now there are rumors circulating in Ottawa that draft documents have already been trading hands between the two parties, although there is no clear confirmation at this point. Finance Minister François-Philippe Champagne was grilled by reporters on Parliament Hill.
The end game is to have no tariff on Canadian industry. So, it's very dynamic. As you know, these things, in the tariff world, things change quickly, trust me. In the last G7, we had a communique. You saw the day after the threat of tariff we've seen just this morning between the U.S. and China. It's really moving fast. So we're on top of that, and we're fighting for Canadian industry.
What is the status today, as of today? What is the status of that talk?
Listen, you'll have to ask the Prime Minister and Minister LeBlanc as to the exact latest, but what I know, it's a very dynamic situation. We've been engaging with our friends in the United States. We talked to different people in the administration. I had the U.S. ambassador yesterday, I think, which came to see me. So we're all.
How'd that go?
Listen, we're all on the same page. We're fighting for Canada. We're fighting for industry, making sure that they understand that this is damaging on both sides of the border. And we need, as we had in the last G7, the G7 can do a lot of things together. We need to restore stability and growth.
The U.S. ambassador to Canada, Pete Hoekstra, has been quoted as saying that Prime Minister Mark Carney and U.S. President Trump are working on a deal, but he refused to speculate on how close they are to finalizing it. Government House Leader Stephen McKinnon says the Liberals won't split up new legislation to advance projects deemed to be in the national interest. Bill C-5 addresses internal trade barriers and makes sweeping changes to speed up approvals of major projects. The Bloc Québécois argues that splitting the legislation would allow the House of Commons to quickly pass the internal trade portion. But McKinnon says that's not the plan.
I think we've been very clear. We were clear in the election campaign. We were clear in the throne speech. We've been clear ever since that this is
you're in a hurry.
That this is a bill that responds to economic conditions caused by the tariff war, among other things, and mobilizes premiers, mobilizes Canadians from coast to coast to coast behind projects of national significance. These projects have a certain urgency, as do interprovincial trade barriers that must fall. So this is a very comprehensive bill. We understand that it's going to be debated, but it's something that we solicited and secured a mandate for.
The minority Liberal government needs the support of at least 4 MPs from another party to pass the bill. Meanwhile, the regional chief for British Columbia is warning that government efforts to speed up major projects will only slow them down because they will likely be sued. BC Assembly of First Nations Regional Chief Terry Teegee says the legislation introduced by the federal government last week doesn't allow for free, prior, and informed consent with First Nations. He insists that's a violation of the UN Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples. Today was the kickoff to the Global Energy Show in Calgary. Alberta Premier Danielle Smith reiterated her province's stance that Ottawa needs to stop fighting it and get on board with energy development. In a fireside chat with former CBC News anchor Peter Mansbridge, Smith said it's time for a different approach.
Until you generate wealth, you cannot spend it. You can have all these wonderful aspirations about the social programs you want to expand and what you want government to do, but you need private industry to create the wealth so you can tax it, so you can have the revenue to do that. And the model that we've been going on, suppressing wealth creation and suppressing the economy and racking up massive amount of debt, is just not working for us. It's driving our living standards lower, it's driving our economic growth lower, it's driving our wage growth lower. So let's try something different. Let's see if we can work together to unleash all of the power that we have in the private sector and then be able to benefit mutually from that.
The Premier says nation building involves pipelines, innovation, and Indigenous partnerships, and Canada can and should lead the world with energy produced in Alberta. The province is now actively working to attract a private sector player to build a pipeline to coastal waters. On the heels of Saskatchewan's ombudsman criticizing the province for not helping wildfire evacuees in a timely manner, Premier Scott Moe announced that financial help is on the way for all evacuees.
Today, I'm announcing that we will be providing additional assistance to northern residents that are displaced by these wildfires. All evacuees, all residents, evacuated residents of an evacuated community will receive a $500 financial assistance emergency investment in their family. These funds are going to help support families not only through their evacuated time, but going to help support them as they encounter the costs of returning to their home community. We're focused on supporting people. There'll be social services and income supports as we move ahead through the next number of days as the effort does not end with this today. We need to work with individuals and communities on additional housing supports as we have lost many homes over the last 2 weeks. And Minister Cockrell can speak to increasing opportunity to access mental health supports as we return to our communities after a tremendously challenging and wearing time on families.
The Manitoba government is warning outdoor enthusiasts that some park areas may be closed for a long time due to the wildfires. The government says anyone planning to hike the Mantario Trail, a popular hike near the Ontario boundary, at any time this summer should make alternative plans. So far, all trails and backwater or backcountry water routes remain closed in all provincial parks. BC Liberal MP Sukh Dhaliwal says he met with Prime Minister Mark Carney today to push back against a decision to invite Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi to the G7 summit in Alberta. Dhaliwal said he has heard from hundreds of people who don't want Modi to attend the upcoming Leaders Summit.
But I'm saying that it's not a good idea, but now he's invited. We have to move forward and we have to see our Prime Minister when it comes to, he is alarmed about the issue and he will be very strong when it comes to dealing with those issues that are important to Canadians.
The RCMP say they have evidence linking agents of the Indian government to the June 2023 murder of Canadian Sikh separatist activist Hardeep Singh Nijjar in Surrey. Justice Marie Josie Hogue, who led a public inquiry into foreign political interference, says China and India are the primary actors behind foreign interference operations targeting Canada. The U.S. and China have been able to hammer out the bones of a new trade deal. We get details from Alastair Smout with the Reuters news agency.
Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick spoke to the media in the early hours of Wednesday after 2 days of intense negotiations. He said the deal fleshed out a provisional agreement reached last month in Geneva.
So the idea is we're going to go back and speak to President Trump and make sure he approves it. They're going to go back and speak to President Xi and make sure he approves it. And if that is approved, we will then implement the framework that we have worked hard over these last 2 days.
Lutnick said the new agreement put meat on the bones of the Geneva deal that had faltered over China's curbs on the export of critical rare earth minerals. Now Lutnick says those restrictions will be removed as a fundamental part of the new framework. He said that some recent US export restrictions would also be lifted. Chinese Vice Commerce Minister Li Chenggang also spoke to reporters. He confirmed that agreement had been reached and said both sides would now report back to national leaders. Markets gave the news a cautious welcome, with Asian stocks posting modest gains in Wednesday trade. Some analysts told Reuters they were waiting to see details of the deal before making a judgment.
While the U.S. will get magnets and rare earth minerals from China, tariffs on Chinese goods will go to 55%, and Chinese students will be allowed to attend American colleges and universities. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's government faces possible collapse as the opposition seeks to dissolve parliament. Netanyahu's ultra-Orthodox coalition partners are threatening to support a bill to dissolve the government and force early elections. The parties are furious the government has failed to pass a law exempting their community from mandatory military service. The vote is the most serious challenge to Netanyahu's government since the October 2023 Hamas attack into southern Israel that killed around 1,200 people and abducted 251 hostages. With Game 4 of the Stanley Cup Final coming up Thursday night in Florida, Oiler fans are preparing to be loud and proud at watch parties in and around Rogers Place. Oilers superfan Jacob Golka spends most of his time on game nights with his back to the outdoor screen and his hands busy painting the faces of hundreds of fans. Police in Brandon, Manitoba say a quick response prevented further bloodshed in a sword attack inside a high school. Police were called to the Neelan High School on Tuesday, where a 16-year-old boy was reported to be armed with a sword, forcing the school into lockdown. Brandon Police Chief Tyler Bates says a 15-year-old student was stabbed in the chest, forearms, hands, and thigh.
The 15-year-old victim was provided immediate medical attention and is now in stable condition. His parents were quickly notified, and care supports are actively being provided to him and his family. Neelan High School was placed under immediate lockdown yesterday. That lockdown was lifted once the suspect was apprehended, as there was no ongoing threat from this incident to students, staff, or the surrounding community.
So our focus at this point is in the support of the student, his family, but also all of the Neelan family of students and staff, and our Brandon School Division community as a whole. We have a crisis response team in place, but our support will not only be for today, but will be ongoing into the future.
The teenage suspect has been charged with attempted murder, uttering threats, and disguise with intent. In local news, 2 men are facing firearms charges after a high-risk arrest this week in Lethbridge that resulted in the seizure of a loaded gun. On Monday, police were searching for a male wanted in connection with a previous home invasion robbery. The suspect was spotted in the passenger seat of a vehicle parked in the alley along the 2500 block of 14th Avenue North. After the tactical team was called in to assist with the arrest, police approached the vehicle, but the suspect took off, running through a backyard and into the street, where he was taken into custody. The driver of the vehicle and a backseat passenger were arrested without incident. Police say a search of the vehicle led to the discovery of a loaded firearm, along with some ammunition and a large knife. 37-year-old Cole Randall Martin of Calgary is facing numerous charges. 33-year-old Joshua Gilbert Eagleson of Lethbridge is charged with unauthorized possession of a firearm and failing to comply with the release order. Both men are in custody and are scheduled to appear in court. This is National Blood Donor Week, a time to recognize the importance each donor plays in the lives of hundreds of people across Canada. In Lethbridge, the community is committed and actively involved in improving the lives of others by regularly donating plasma. While hundreds of donors visit the city's plasma center, more donors are needed, not only here, but across Canada, to the point that the Canadian Blood Service has a goal of reaching 1 million new donors in the next 5 years. Judy Jones, Director of Support and Operations for the Canadian Blood Service, says the Lethbridge Donor Centre currently has more than 2,300 active donors.
This just gives us an opportunity to welcome and engage with current donors and really give Canadians an opportunity to understand the need for new donors, the demand for blood and plasma and all products that are on an increase. And we want to make sure that we're engaging with Canadians where they're at, how they can help support us, and really helping support new donor acquisitions. We just want to spread the word about the importance. The need for blood and plasma doesn't necessarily take a vacation. There's always the need. The hospitals are always using for surgeries and different medical treatments. We need on average about 200 new donors every month in Lethbridge. It's a great opportunity to give back to your community, learn about plasma donation, put it within your schedule. I think most people, when they donate, they find that it's a giving of themselves. It becomes a part of their identity.
75% of participants say that being a donor is a unique part of their Canadian identity. Summer is almost here, and with the beautiful weather this season brings, several community events are on offer, including the Upside Downtown Concert Series 2025. Stephen Ford, Executive Director of the Lethbridge Allied Arts Council, says the free festival will be happening every Thursday from July 3rd right through to August 28th from 5 to 7 p.m., featuring a dynamic group of musicians, culture, and food. Their performances will take place downtown at Rotary Square in front of the CASA building.
Featuring all kinds of local talent, and integration of art as well too, food trucks. Great event for the family to bring on down after work. We have some incredible artists, not just locally and established artists, some emerging artists, as well as some artists from far across the country, all the way from PEI, Edmonton, so a couple of acts there that we're integrating as well. In addition to that, we're bringing in some elements, working with Chinook High School to bring some of the Battle of the Bands kids in to feature for our first 2 concerts. Those are the kids that eventually become these established artists going forward, right?